What's going on, guys? Bonafide Hustler here, and welcome to a new style kind of show. Anyway, I don't know if we're going to do episode 2, 3, 4, 5. It really depends on how this show goes. But this is basically something I wanted to talk about. I've always talked about it throughout my videos. You've probably, if you watch my channel, or if you're part of the green room, I think you understand pretty easily that I kind of eat, sleep, and breathe this type of stuff we're about to talk about today. So anyway, this is a show called How to Build a Lifestyle, Tips and Tricks. I think it's going to be interesting because many people might not even know what a lifestyle truly is, or might not even be living their perfect kind of lifestyle. And I think that's really one of those large injustices in life. It's like an injustice in life. Like, you should be living super happy and have a great lifestyle. It doesn't have to be, rich mansion kind of person or a person that travels the world all the time, but like, you need to be happy with yourself and what you've achieved. I think that's something that every human being wants out of life. So anyway, before we get into the meat and the really good matter of this show, I want to make sure that we sound good. So I'm going to need the help of the audience right here. And after I go through, I have about 8 things I want to talk about today. And after each one, I'm going to go into the feed. It's going to be a very interactive based show. And we're going to, kind of hash out some things and figure out, do these things really matter, or do they not matter when crafting an amazing lifestyle? So let's definitely get the sound check done. I want to make sure, I want to shout out some people that are here live. If you're watching right now, it's 2:30 Central Time on a Wednesday, right? This is my first live show today. I'm going to be on another live show later on for the Green Room University. So we'll have a show at 7 right before the presidential debate. We're going to have Dumpster Marcus, which is going to be amazing. And I know this guy kind of eats, sleeps, breathes a good lifestyle as well. But anyway, let's get the sound check out of the way. We have Parrot Head Picker in the town, One Bad Goat, Eddie Willis, Jason Kreider, Darren Eckelman, Super Sunshine, Musa NC, Parrot Head Picker, Truth Seeker for Yeshua. I see a lot of people in here that I've seen before in my videos. I thank you very much. Even before the video started, I had 2 likes on the video, which is cool. I really like it that I only threw this link up 30 minutes ago. So the fact that 2 people came by maybe took off, but before they took off, they just hit the like button real quick. I mean, that really means a whole lot. So if you're thinking throughout this show that that the information is good, the content is good, and that you're going to learn something, because that's the entire premise of the entire show, is to spread kind of what I know and what I've done with my life upon you guys out there. It doesn't matter what age you're at. I really want you to take something home out of these 8 things that we're going to talk about today here on the show. Now, if you're looking at me and you're like, holy crap, something looks off on Bonafide today, you might be absolutely right. In fact, you are absolutely right. About an hour ago, I was squatting in the gym, right? And I had my 5th set, right, on my squats. It was only like 225 pounds. It wasn't anything crazy. And believe me, this has to do with the story. But before I did the 5th set, I always time my stuff, right? I time my rest times, and I found myself not super motivated on that 5th set to go through. And I thought in my head, I was like, this is going to be the set where I bet you I get injured. Like, something's going to happen, right? I just knew it. But I still went forward, because my mentality is, the mind usually fails before the body fails. So if I can convince the mind that everything's going to be fine, I should be all right. Problem is, I didn't really psych myself up enough to get that last perfect set. On rep 1, thankfully, my lower back was intact. Everything was good. My legs were good. My hips were good. Flexors were all good. But my upper back, I don't think I braced it completely for the first rep. And I just felt a little bit of pain shoot through my upper back. And I was like, oh, I know what that is. So I get that injury, not, maybe once every 2 months. It's just something that happens. But it's part of picking the lifestyle that I did, right? There's no way I can go through the roads that I've picked without being hurt, because I love doing things like mountain biking, surfing, snowboarding, wake surfing, wakeboarding, all that kind of stuff. There's no way you can proceed through a lifestyle and not get some negative repercussions from some of it, okay? So I want you guys to understand that I still want to do this show. I'm in, I'm kind of slightly pissed, right, that it happened, but then again, things are just happening all together. I'm getting older. I still want to be fit. I'm still, squatting decent weight for my age range and all that kind of stuff. It's just what comes with it. And, like I said, I'm slightly mad, but at the same time, overall, in the past 2 decades of working out, I'm extremely happy for the lifestyle that has brought to the table. So you have to look at it a different way. I think a lot of people might be like, oh my God, I'm out for the gym for a week or 2 because of this pain. You gotta be real careful with that kind of mentality. Just remember that the broad picture is the most important thing. If I'm on track with where I want to be in life, these things are just going to happen, right? So anyway, it is pretty painful, and it just makes sometimes my eyes kind of squint or, do weird things, but it is a pretty decent amount of pain, but I'm okay. Like I still continued my set. I still deadlifted a whole lot after that. I still went through the whole thing because my adrenaline was high and I just did it, right? But when I got home, the adrenaline went away and that's when the real pain kind of set in. But anyway, I'm still going to work out tomorrow, still going to keep going. That's just how I handle my life. I don't take a beat down very easily, and I just don't. So anyway, pain is pleasure. That's what Darren Eckelman is saying. So let's get into the first thing, okay? So I think the sound check is good. Thanks for joining. We have 38 people watching right now, 18 upvotes. We haven't even got to the content, guys, and you guys are loving the Bonafide Hustler channel or whatever I'm about to talk about so much that 18 people already pulling the like button. I really do appreciate that. All right, so let's get to the purpose of what we're going to be talking about right here. And this is the reason why I just brainstormed this show out of, an hour ago. I was kind of thinking about it in the gym too. I was like, man, it'd be really cool to do that type of a show. But where does it kind of stem from? Like, you have to understand, why do I want to do this kind of show? And you got a hint of it before where I said, I really want to impart my knowledge upon you guys so that way, you can craft your own lifestyle too and kind of build it and, be happy with it. But more importantly, I think throughout life, or at least significantly through the past 2 decades where I was in true control of my own life, right? Because up until about age 18, you're not really super in control of your life because your parents, you're living with your parents. You know what I'm talking about. But 2 decades later, now I'm on my own. I've, completely self-sufficient, done everything. And the control is in my ballpark now, right? Like I have control over everything. I just do. And so when I talk to people or whether it's college, professional life, entrepreneurial life, working for myself life, now life, I've met a lot of people throughout that entire span, right? I meet a fair amount of people with regret. It's almost like, I wish this or wish that. Life shouldn't be about wishes, right? I mean, there's certain wishes that'll never come true. Like you can't be my age or even 30 years old and go, I wish I could be an NFL, pro football player, or, that's just not going to happen. There's certain things that if you wish, it's just like, yeah, that ain't going to happen. Like I wish I could be the top 10 wishes people in the entire world. That's probably not going to happen no matter what time you start right now. It's just not. So there's certain things if you wish, then that's truly like, okay, yeah, that's like way over everyone's head. Ain't nobody going to get that. But I think there are a lot of people that wish for really things that they absolutely can't achieve, but they're still wishing for it, and that really bothers me a little bit. So, in talking to these people throughout many years, oh, I wish I could do that, man. You're so lucky, right? I hear that all the time. I wish I could do that just like you do. I wish I could just be fit. This is the problem, guys. Is like these walls have been built up in people's heads, and these walls prevent them, from getting their wish to come true. It's very important to understand that it's nothing more than just a wall. So I've met a lot of people that live with regret, where they go back and think, oh, I wish I'd just done that in my younger years, wish I'd done that. So every time I hear the wish, it's almost like I try to understand what the wish was. And I'm like, I make sure I don't do, I make sure let me make sure I take care of that. Even before I became Bonafide Hustler on YouTube, I was always like doing as many things that my body could allow me to do, like physically, and I still do it to this day. And I've traveled, went outside of the USA, back. I've done all kinds of things, and it's just the way I wanted to live my life. And I think now, when I look back, I don't have any regrets. I have a couple regrets, but it's unfair to say that what my regrets are, like starting YouTube earlier, like maybe 10 years ago. But then again, nobody knew what YouTube was 10 years ago, so it's like a very unfair thing to hold myself against. Like, there's certain things that, I sit there and I go, I wish, but when I started YouTube, ultimately was the most prime time for me to start it with my channel. I've also known people that have incredible talent that never used it. Does that make sense? So sometimes you come in contact with some people that you're like, man, you're so bright and you're so smart, and then in the back of your head, you're like, but just throwing it away. So that I would love to fix if I ever could out there. If there's one of you guys out there that's like, I know I have a special purpose, I know I got amazing things that I can do, but I don't know where to start. Or maybe you don't have that support group that's telling you, like, come on, like, you got this amazing talent. So I've met a fair amount of people like that, and that kind of bothers me as well. People with incredible talent that just waste it. Of course, comments through my YouTube channel, okay, through my vlogs, like, man, I wish I could be in California. I wish I could surf. I wish I could do things like this. I wish this, wish that. And it's like, you could, right? I see people out there that are, when I was in the lineup in Cardiff, right, in the awesome break over there in the surf, man, there were some dudes out there that were like, they had to have been 70 to 80 years old with like super long boards, like full blown wetsuits when it wasn't even cold. Um, I mean, making it happen. You look at that kind of stuff. You see people that are like doing wheelchair soccer, almost like wheelchair lacrosse, wheelchair hockey. I mean, these are people that have had the world come down on them at some given time, or that maybe they were born with it, and they're just making the absolute best out of their situation. And in fact, they're getting more fit than some people that are just sitting on the couch, like watching Dancing with the Stars, all that kind of stuff. So you really have to look at it in that sense. Like when you start wishing, the second you say like I wish, you have to understand that that next sentence better be something completely out of the realm of a possibility, and then it's truly a wish, right? As opposed to, oh, I wish I could just take another vacation, because now that's not like, that's almost a statement that's just proving that you're not working hard enough, or you're not looking at life hard enough to where you can save that sort of money and get that vacation that you want. And of course, the other purpose of doing the show is to just spread happiness. So, all right, let's get to number one. I appreciate you guys stopping by real quick. We have 38 viewers in the house. So number one tip and trick basically is to find yourself a mentor or an icon. Now, most people when they see mentor icon, you might be thinking like, I got to have someone like really close to me, someone I look up to, and that's completely untrue, right? We live in a digital age. A mentor and icon now can be found on anywhere, like YouTube, internet. You can follow their speaking engagement tour if you want to. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. But what the beauty of the internet is that you can get this information like right now. You can literally go, my icon is, well, sweet, I just sold something. My icon is so-and-so, and you can literally look at hundreds of interviews of your icon. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be Tom Cruise, it could be The Rock, Gary Vaynerchuk, Cardone, all these people. So it can be any one of those people. It could be bodybuilders, it could be yoga instructors, right? An icon is there to show you what you can become. Okay, it's very important. It's someone that didn't wish that much, just took care of control, just controlled everything and didn't wish. They just did it. So an icon is very important. You have to find a mentor or icon. And I'm not going to tell you who it needs to be, right? But you need to find that mentor and icon, follow them ridiculously, and figure out their shortcomings, right? What they regret, because almost every icon and almost every mentor is going to tell you where they went wrong. That's a really good characteristic of someone that's actually achieved a lot in life, is when they admit their downfalls. I think that's one of the largest things. When I listen to people's interviews or whatever, when I hear downfalls, I'm like, oh man, that's like so refreshing to hear that this person's not perfect. So anyway, it's very important. The icons that I pick, and I say currently, but I have several on YouTube that I follow. I like The Rock a whole lot. I really do. I like Gary Vaynerchuk a whole lot. And I do like Tai Lopez. I think Tai Lopez is super, super smart. I think Gary Vaynerchuk is just a machine. And I definitely think The Rock is just one of these people that, everyone loves The Rock. The Rock is, Dwayne Johnson. If you start researching this dude's like work ethic, you're going to be like, holy crap, like I'm not doing anything with my life. So I think he's a very important person to follow if you can. But yeah, there's a bunch of other YouTubers, but we won't mention those people. Understand their habits is very important. If you follow Dwayne Johnson, you follow Vaynerchuk, you follow all these people, you realize that, man, a lot of them get 6, 5, and maybe 8 hours of sleep. Like Dwayne Johnson, since he's a workout dude, he really realizes that the closest to 8 is very, very optimal. But a lot of these other people that are like true machines, they get like maybe 6 hours of sleep at night. Now, I'm not saying that that's the good thing to do, but you start seeing it as a common thing with all these people. And I think it's because, honestly, I think their brain has trouble shutting off. Like, once you're a rapid thinker like that, and you're always thinking about ways to like overcome, and like you're basically never wishing. Your whole life is never coming down to wishes. You're always acting all the time. 100 freaking ideas in your head right before you go to bed. I think that's definitely an amazing part of being in that kind of life, and I think it's definitely a poisonous part of being in that kind of life as well. Because if you can't shut off, which I have some of that trouble too, before I go to bed, it's very hard for me to shut off, because we live in a world with such intense opportunity that I feel as if with my expertise and what I am very passionate about, it's almost like I feel like I haven't done enough each and every day to get to where I want to be, right? And I think I can speak the same for the people that are on my team that I engage business with. There's so many good opportunities out there, and there's just so little time in the day. So anyway, but definitely find a mentor or an icon. I'm going to go into, like I said, after everyone I discuss, I'm going to go into the feed, and we're going to see who is your mentor and who is your icon. and if number one is even a good tip for you guys to craft your own lifestyle. So I think it's important because the more you immerse yourself in your mentor or icon, you understand their shortcomings, you figure out their schedules and all this kind of stuff, it's very hard not to look at your own life and go, man, and start comparing yourself to this person. It's really hard not to. I mean, at that point, you start looking at you and you go, man, the only thing that separates me and that person is the thought process, really, if you think about it, because a lot of these people came from nothing, right? The majority of people that are watching this show, and I can tell you right now, I came from nothing, right? I mean, my family was well off, but like literally got no allowance. Like, yeah, I had a roof over my head, but like really came from absolutely nothing, okay? So I think it's important, right? Coming from nothing is important. If you come from something, you have to understand that there are a lot of things that are stacked up against you, right? Plenty of people are going to be like, well, you know, you came into it with money, you didn't earn your way. A lot of people that come into it with money screwed up with drugs or partying too much. So it's almost better to come in with nothing, okay? And you can start at any time in your life too. You don't just have to start like when you're 18 or 10 or whatever. I came from nothing. The story of all these people is like, there's a lot of hard work. It doesn't matter if you come from something or nothing. There's a really intense period of work where it leads to the very first breakthrough, okay? And the breakthrough is really one of those essential things. It's just like fitness. You have to put in a ton of work just to get the first breakthrough, which is typically someone going, hey, you look better. Have you lost weight? That's usually one of the first breakthroughs, because you look at yourself in the mirror all the time and maybe you don't see it. But someone else seeing it, that's usually the breakthrough already, breakthrough number one. So let's figure out who your mentors are in the feed. I think it's very important. I want to see who other people's mentors are. Tony Robbins. Oh, okay. Bonafide is the new Tony Robbins. No, I'm not, but I would love, that's a great compliment. Thank you so much, Darren Eckelman. No to Ty Lopez, can't stand his voice. Take down that wall. This guy's a very smart guy. Just trust me. You have to take down that wall, disregard the voice, and just understand this guy's extremely smart when it comes to like internet marketing and all that kind of stuff. Who else do we have here? A lot of funny comments. Someone wishes that they were my brother so they could be a VIP to the reselling champ. That's funny. Bonafide was a young Craigslist bicycle hustler before YouTube. That actually is true. I wouldn't say I was young, but I definitely started. And that's the most important thing. Team Tycoon says, I'll have to watch this later. I want to see who you're. Okay, here we go. Here's some icons, some really good ones. So Jill Lawler says, Tony Robbins. That's a wonderful one. I love that one. There's a Netflix episode right now, Tony Robbins. That's pretty good. Definitely check that out. All of his material is really good. Gary V, absolutely, Mantra. I 100% agree with you. Joe Rogan, this is an interesting one. I think Joe Rogan's a very important mentor as well. I think he eats, sleeps, breathes, and sometimes he's got BS, but for the most part, physically fit, owns his own stuff, got into a medium that was completely underpriced at the time, which is podcasting. I mean, he literally was the pioneer of like, you know, basically the big time podcasting where anything goes, because this show is basically an anything goes type show, but you always learn something from it. So Joe Rogan's amazing. About to go on vacation soon, and like a Joe Rogan the Joe Rogan experience is absolutely one of those amazing things. 2 to 3 hours long each episode, and you will learn something. Soikon Pond says Steve Rakin. My phone's going off. Eddie Willis says Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone. There you go. Just found you on Buddy says, I just found you on YouTube. I've been watching Craigslist Hunter for a while. I think he's legit. Yeah. See, if you're a reseller, you know, you have reselling mentors or people that you look up to. You watch every one of their videos, and the mentor doesn't have to be anyone like super great, but it has to be something great in the space that it plays in, because the space that we play in as resellers, the cap might be 100,000 subscribers. Let's face it, right? But the space that, let's say, Ty Lopez or Gary Vaynerchuk play in, I think that the cap there is about 500K to maybe $1 million, right? And then the fitness cap of people on YouTube, 3 to 4 million right now. So, you know, you have to have, so it doesn't matter who the icon is. It has to be someone that has achieved great things in the space that you are in, or the things that you love, right? Okay, so Alex Becker, Les Brown, see 2 Les Browns that came out. Nick Hills, there you go, someone from UK. Eric Zhu says DMT and garage sales equals a fun time. So it's like basically an inside joke on the Joe Rogan stuff. Anyway, okay, so and there's nothing wrong with your mentors also being part of your family. It could be your parents, right? Because they raised you and they kind of showed you things. I have a my father is definitely the person that almost tried to steer me away from every life decision that I thought I really loved and wanted to do. My mother, on the other hand, was always like, I think you will always do great. Like, always like, now she calls me like, oh, I made sure to call you after your YouTube. And she refers to everything that I do on YouTube as YouTube. She doesn't know it's YouTube shows or live hangouts or like even my Bonafide Hustler channel. She has nothing about it. She just says, I just want to call you after your YouTube is what my mom says. So she's like, as long as it's making you money and you're happy, that's all that matters. Your dad went for this other route and, he was happy, but then also kind of unhappy with the money, right? So money is not never the ultimate thing in the end. Just want to let you guys know that. Okay, so let's talk about now number 2, which is, it goes into the mentor thing, which is pursue your happiness, but adapt it from someone else, right? You have to figure out what makes you happy. Because I follow, let's say, I follow Rock, I follow all these people. Do I want to be The Rock? No. Do I want to be Gary Vaynerchuk? No. I have never for one second thought it'd be sweet to be in taxi cabs all day, running my own firm, then like doing keynote speaking, and then maybe seeing the kids at night. Like, to me, that's not a lifestyle I want to live. But the successful part of what Gary Vaynerchuk has been doing is absolutely what I'm taking into my own lifestyle. Does that make sense? So in order to create my own lifestyle, I have to take these successful habits that I'm learning from other people. So figure out what you love the most. Okay, for me, it's like working out and fitness and now running a company, and adapt it with these other things that you find from your mentors. Okay. It's one thing I have, let's say, Joe Rogan as a mentor. You're like, oh, I love the Joe Rogan podcast. But if you don't know anything about his work ethic and like how he got there and all the little hurdles, you're doing yourself a pretty big disservice, right? You have to research what made Joe Rogan, for example. Then you start figuring out like, man, this dude really went against the grain at one point of his life and truly built one of the biggest like podcasts in like history now, like, right? It could be the most popular. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure if it's the most popular, but I know that there were certain years where his was the most popular podcast. Anyway, and because of him, I mean, he's basically a pioneer of podcasting. Like, you could say maybe that Howard Stern was, right? But I mean, truly, Joe Rogan kind of took it to a whole different level. But anyway, just you have to kind of know the nitty gritty of your people that you're following, and to figure it out where their shortcomings are, where the hurdles were, how they overcame it, and adapt it to whatever you're very passionate and happy about, right, in life. Because the worst thing to do is to have a mentor, an icon, and try to follow exactly in their steps, like exactly. You have to adapt it to what makes you happy. Okay. Okay. And what I wanted to talk about also, number 2, is that some people might ask themselves, like, well, what is he talking about with this happiness thing? What is he talking about? Pursue the lifestyle. Whatever seems super effortless for you, and it's just like a secondhand thing. You're just like, you know what? I know too much about this crap. I'm passionate about it. I could probably teach it one day. Like, that's probably where you need to start heading. Okay. You have to figure that out. A lot of times it's been written. You know how they say it's like written in the stars or written in stone? Like, a lot of times people chase this life that was never written for them. You have to figure out what's always been your dying kind of like, I don't know, how do I say it? Not dying. There's just things that you would just die for. You're like, oh man, if I could just live that life, that'd be so sweet. I could work hard. I could work hard and I could make big things happen. And I think that's very important. A lot of people almost downplay their own strengths. They almost downplay what they're cut out for in life. And when I was like 18, honestly, I knew I liked physical fitness. Okay. But hustling was nowhere in the picture until I was about 26 or 7 years old, something like that. And that's where it peaked in. I was like, holy crap, like, I really like to do this. Like, this is awesome. And then I just, over 12 years, got super good at it, to the point where I'm like, man, I would just love to teach people this art, because it has just done, amazing things for me in my life here in Austin, Texas. So I taught it on YouTube. I figured out mediums to go on, and I did it. Okay. And I messed a lot of things up. I mean, I have camera shots, all kinds of things, like spent hours and days on editing, and I created it, right? And it's not the most popular thing in the world, but I look back at it now, and I'm like, that's a pretty decent creation though, if you look at it. And it led to a business, right? So there's all kinds of stuff. If you follow into your own footsteps, like what was created for you, I think naturally, if you just keep going at it, good things happen, okay? So I can't imagine what the good thing is going to happen. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what the good thing is going to happen on the workout part. Obviously, physically fit, I can do all these amazing things. But on a business sense, it's like I want to, craft that out. That's one of my next chapters in my life that I want to open up, is figure out the business sense of that whole thing. And I'm not talking about personal training, like, doing all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about really crafting out really good stuff and helping people across the world, learn to live a goddamn lifestyle. So that's number 2. Pursue your happiness first, then try other things. But know what makes you happy first, and then watch your mentors adapt it into your own life. What do we got here? Truth seeker for Yeshua. Do you have any advice for someone that has a lot of medical issues? So elaborate on that right there, because I can honestly tell you that my father right now at this point of his life has a lot of medical issues. I have some medical issues, but I've chose to take care of them in different ways. I have asthma, right? I do. My asthma when I was a kid was really bad. Put me in the hospital many times when I was, I think, 10 and below, maybe 12 and below. Like, always had an inhaler with me. Now, I always have an inhaler kind of close, I guess, just in case, but that's never happened. The last time I got into a really bad scenario was when I think I almost died in California in the bathroom. I believe I had an asthma attack. I don't know what happened, but I didn't have my asthma under control. I just lifted so many weights and I was eating so much crappy food. I was going on what's called a dirty bulk. And that was in college. I was on my dirty bulk. I'd visit my parents in California. I was just eating everything in sight, but not really working on my cardio. And I just remember just in the bathroom one day, I don't know. I was looking at myself in the mirror and it just started hyperventilating or something. I collapsed to the floor. I used my inhaler. It didn't work. And I just told myself, like, this is a moment where something's going to happen. Either I'm not going to make it through this moment. My parents will never know that something's happening to me in the bathroom, or I need to calm the hell down and breathe. And that's what I decided to do. And I got out of it. And it was one of the scariest times of my life. There are a couple of times where I've died, where I got close to dying. That was one of them. And I've had 2 other instances in the surf. One was in California where I almost died. And the other one was in Hawaii, actually, like less than 2 years ago. I almost died at Hokipa, which is a pretty big surfing break. Almost died there. But I picked this lifestyle, and this could be the repercussion of picking this lifestyle that I want. Being super active might have, it has repercussions, I got to tell you. So I'm okay with that. But do I have any medical advice for someone with a lot of medical issues? First of all, homeopathic, like at-home remedies. Look at everything but prescriptions, okay? You have to start understanding that anytime you get a prescription, there's usually a side effect, especially when the ailment is when the medical issue is very severe. Any type of prolonged medical kind of stuff is going to lead to other things happening, right? So my father right now, he has like some seizures and stuff. They give him pills for seizures, but then that causes depression, right? And then he's had suicidal thoughts. So it's like, how do you combat that, but not get the seizures? It's real tough. And that's the problem about life, is that there's always a medicinal remedy usually, but it has a very big, there's always a cost versus, how do I say it? There's always that analysis you have to put, like, is it worth it in the end? And so that's where my father is in a tricky situation. For me, anytime I'm like, I should take some medication for this or that, I'm always like, let me just beat this thing normally. If I remotely think I'm getting a cold or whatever, which happens never, but I'm always thinking like, all right, lots of magnesium, lots of zinc, lots of vitamin C, ton of water, and maybe a couple of Sudafed things from the store. But as soon as I get like out of the situation, boom, I'm not taking any more medication. I'm good. It's usually within a day, if that ever happens, because I do not want to be on that kind of stuff for prolonged periods of time. Anyway, yeah, but I hope I could help you out in some way. Yeshua, you can hit me up behind the scenes on Bonafide Hustler. We can talk more about that. Okay, so let's talk about number 3. I think this is very important. In order to craft an amazing lifestyle, or a lifestyle where you're happy with it, you have to figure out where your money is going, okay? While money is not the most important thing in the world, it absolutely is important, though. It's not the most important thing, but it is important, right? Money buys security. Money buys usually health insurance and things like that. So you have to look at money as like, it's not absolutely essential to have a crap load of it, but I think it's definitely essential to have a decent amount of it. So you have to figure out, in order to get a decent amount, people are like, oh, that means I have to work harder. It's not necessarily true, because you have to figure out, and there's a book called, I think it's The Richest Man in Babylon. I want to say that's the book's name. But if you ever read the book, you're going to come back with usually one revelation, one big one, and that is a vision of a gold bag, right? A gold bag that has a hole in the bottom, right? And depending on how, everyone's got some sort of hole in the bottom of their gold bag. And some people's holes are a lot bigger than other people's. Some people have a really small micro drip of gold coming out, and then other people have just like the coins are falling out of the bag, right? People put coins in the bag. It's almost coming out as fast on the bottom of the bag to where the bag never gets full of gold. So it's okay to have a super, super micro slow drip. And in fact, if it's a micro slow drip or not dripping at all, chances are you're not living the greatest kind of lifestyle. You have to figure out where that drip gets to your happiness level, to where you go, okay, I'm spending money on the right kind of things. I'm happy. I've crafted a good lifestyle. I think it's nearly impossible to craft an amazing lifestyle when there's no drip coming out of the bag. Okay. So you have to spend to get your lifestyle. I'm a huge proponent on, buy the town that you want to live in, like buy the lifestyle that you want. I'm a huge proponent on that, because I've done that for like the past 2 decades. And quite honestly, I look back and I'm like, do I look back and go, well, I could have had this house paid off in full now? Or do I look back and go, you know what? I lived a crazy life already. And honestly, B is the way I think, which is like, that's the lifestyle I want. Like, bam, I would love to have a house paid off by now, but I would have never been able to take maybe half those trips back in the day, buy any of those bicycles, do any of those things with friends, and go downtown with all my buddies. Like, I probably would have had less of all that, significantly less of all that. So you have to be very careful with how you perceive money. Okay, money can actually theoretically buy you happiness. Okay, but depending on how you actually spend it. Because a lot of people spend it on really, really dumb things. Okay, but I choose to spend it on experiences, good times with friends and things like that. That's personally how I like to spend my money. So let's go back into the one thing where I was going. You have to actively understand where your money is going. People that are like, oh, I wish I could take a different trip. I wish I could take trips. Wish I could just, have a better car. You got to figure out how your drip is coming out of that bag, okay? Because a lot of people sometimes don't see this other drip that's going on. This other drip can be caused from random stuff like a car that's too old, needing a bunch of repairs, down to a cable bill for a TV that you never watch. It could be a lot of stuff. It could be a donation to Greenpeace that you've been, that they've been taking out. Like for me, I donate to Greenpeace every month, but it's only $5. But there was a point where it was like 20, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I don't need to be spending $20 for Greenpeace anymore. I'll bring it down to $5. There's that kind of stuff. Subscriptions to random things that you subscribe to. Maybe it's magazine things or whatever that you never read when it comes through the mail. All that kind of stuff. There's so many things. It could even be a gym membership that you never use. Shame on you, though. Honestly, you should be going to the gym. Gyms are really good. But it could be things like that. It could be yoga classes that you paid for on a punch card that you're never going to get to. Groupons. Here's one. Groupons, Living Social. I don't even know if Living Social is around anymore, but Groupons that you never use and they just expire. But I think they rebate your normal price now. But there was a point where they didn't. But you see what I'm getting at. You have to figure out where your money is going in order to figure out, can you take that trip? Can you make that payment? Can you buy that awesome thing for Christmas for your kids? There are a lot of ways to do it. And I think people are, they just waste money on really, really insignificant things. So let's talk about number 3 in a green room post sense. I posted something in the green room last week, and it was just like, let's have an open discussion on how people waste money. Okay, this thread got like 60, actually about 70 replies within a day, and there were so many amazing things on there. So let's talk about some of the amazing things that were there. And if you are here from the green room, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. The post was actually a really nicely crafted post, and everyone got together. No one bashed anybody else, and that's what the green room's all about. It's about people that just talk openly and like respect each other. But one was buying new things, like new cars, especially new cars, new automobiles. When the second you drive it off, depreciation hits you and you get completely screwed. I think on the flip side is having too old of a car, right, that needs major repairs all the time. Another one was, and the one that I put up was people that buy decorations for holidays at full price. They're like, oh yeah, sweet, Halloween's coming, so I'm gonna buy all this stuff and jack-o'-lantern decorations and all this fall stuff. And oh, after that, it's Thanksgiving. Cool. I'm just gonna buy all these cornucopia-looking things, put them in my house, and all this neat things for the windows. And you realize that you're buying stuff that literally the day after the holiday is over, it's at like 90% off. So plan a little bit more effectively, right? Especially if you're like wishing to go on vacation or wishing to do all the, you know what? You have to understand where your money is going. That is the point of number 3. You have to figure it out and go, you know what? I'm buying things that are just full price. This is dumb. Secondhand things, amazing. Like embrace secondhand culture, secondhand clothes, all that kind of stuff, secondhand, anything, sporting goods, whatever, makes you happy, embrace secondhand culture. What are some of the other things that people were talking about? The cable bill was in there, like, paying for a modem, leasing a modem, when you could just be paying one out completely. There were just a bunch of amazing things in that room. And I want that room to just keep going further and further and further. So we ask these kind of posts every now and then. But either way, figure out where your money is going each and every month. Okay, if you have to sit there back there and look at your itemized statements and all that kind of stuff, figure out where your money's going. And then for me, I was just like, dude, like check this out. In the summertime here in Austin, Texas, it gets crazy hot, like 100 degrees, like every day for at least 2 or 3 months. Okay, and my electricity bill, even though with a new AC and all this kind of stuff hooked up to my house, relatively new AC, like a year old. It has my electricity bills before the new AC. Some of them went into the $400 range. Okay, now they're in that 300 to 325 peak. But I'm like, you know what? I still don't want to pay that. And it's not that I'm being cheap. I'm just like, you know what? Like, I have to understand that my house doesn't need to be cool every second of every day. It just doesn't need to. So at a garage sale, and over there is a Lasco fan, a tower fan. I spend a majority of the time in my house in this office working on stuff, working on green room things, working on videos, editing. So I have a fan. It's a $5 fan I got from a garage sale. I put it on. I mean, this summer my highest bill was $273. So I've saved money. I've saved good money. I wasn't uncomfortable in any weird way. I was just like, oh, sweet. Walk around with just shorts and no shirt on, and that's just how I lived my life this entire summer. And I saved some money that way. And that money can be allocated to all kinds of stuff later on. So you have to be thinking about that kind of stuff. And I was thinking about, where's my money going? And every time I opened that envelope, and I was like, damn, man, these electricity bills. So I made an active decision, like, I want to buy a fan, but I didn't want to buy a full price fan because I'm the bona fide hustler. So literally, like, I started researching fans, and like 2 weeks later, bam, found a fan at a garage sale, $5, my kind of deal. So that's number 3. Let's talk about these comments coming in. Oz Worldwide, can't hang out right now, but I'll sure to catch the replay. Guys, like, honestly, I know some people are going to catch the replay. You guys are here live, so let's talk it up here in the comment feed. And if you do like the video, it's very important that you do one thing for me, okay? And that is join the green room. I'm just kidding. It is to like the video, okay? Just hit the video and hit the like button, and I think you'll have a lot of fun. I poke fun at the whole join the green room thing because I own it, so obviously very biased kind of decision. I love being in it. I love being in it. I love being the creator of it or co-creator. But I'm always joking around. So if you do want to be there, I'll tell you what, if we have 52 viewers here, if anyone's from the green room, I want you to say, hey, what's up? What do you think of the green room? I don't care if it's negative. I don't care if it's positive. Just put it in the feed. I just want to see what happens. But I want to read some of these comments that are coming in. Chris S. just paid $720 yesterday to have a new fuel pump installed. Old cars can suck sometimes. See, so that's definitely one of those things that comes up with old cars. There's going to be, I have an itch in life to own an old automobile, right? I think it's probably going to be maybe a C10, could be a SS Camaro. It's probably not going to be a Mustang. Probably a C10. Could be a Scout. I like Scouts, and it could be an old Blazer. I like those. But I know what I'm getting into. If I get into that, it's like, here we go. But I'm going to be kind of accounting for that because I do want to know, I want to own one day. They're only about, I don't know, $12,000 all the way up to $20,000 like old vehicles, things like that are really nicely restored. And I'm going to probably budget about $30K for that entire thing just because, things are going to go wrong. I know it's going to happen. So what's up, Pinching Pesos? I live in Austin too. It is very, very hot. Anyway, Pinching Peso says, day my suburb bill hits 240. I keep the house 74 degrees during the day at 70 at night. I keep mine at 70 at night as well. And during the day, I'm at 78. Pinching Pesos, who is Deborah Gotia. Go check out her channel. She is constantly putting out content, constantly. And she did make an appearance at the Green Room, like Pinballs event. She was just there, and she was on my video. But anyway, if you don't know who Pinching Pesos is, go check out her channel. Constant content, usually about eBay, and she'll definitely help you guys out. And she does amazing live shows. I believe it's with Tanya in April still, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be mistaken. Okay, so largest bill I've had is 150 heart-wise. Oh man, I think, the bills obviously matter with how much square foot your house has and how energy efficient it is in regards to windows and all the insulation, obviously. Uh, Joe Lawler says, I focus on what you can do. That's absolutely right. So many things you have no control over, but anyway. Pinchy Peso says, I missed my 84 Crown Vic. I paid $900 for it. Served us well for 7 years. Hey, that's great. I hate paying stupid $320 on this car payment. I would rather pay for parts than monthly payments. Yeah, there's a lot of things that come with new cars and like recent cars. I guess I could say it like that. And that is, creature comfort. It's what they call it, fit and finish, however you want to say it. There's a certain thing. Obviously, there's also that saying that if wherever you're heading in life, right, start acquiring some of the things that ends up going in the direction of the life that you want. So if you're like, you know what, I want to start riding my bike, or want to start riding a bike because I rented a bike somewhere and I liked it, so I want to get a bike. Do you get like a cheap $50 bike real quick, or do you go ahead and you go, you know what, like I know I'm heading in this direction, so I'm just going to get the good thing now, right? Instead of just buying something recently, I'm just going to get a secondhand bike that's a really good one. And I'm more of the second person. I think Deborah Gautier is probably more of the second person. Sometimes you just have to buy the better thing because it makes you work harder, all that kind of stuff, and you just feel better when you're using that item. You're just like, all right, like this was a better decision as opposed to an old car, for example, as a primary vehicle. Anyway, let's go into number 4. Number 4, probably I'm going to get some disagreements on, and that's okay. But this is something that I like to do. In fact, I just did it the other day. But number 4 is plan trips. Okay. So I know this is going to kind of strike people as like, oh, that's kind of weird, but it's almost like my wife works with a lot of doctors. Okay. And one of the doctors said something very profound about a year ago. And they were like, the number one thing I do when I get back from a trip is I plan my next trip, literally within that same week. And I thought that was like so weird, but he's like, it gives you something to look forward to, and you're actively already planning it. Whereas most of Americans kind of like, they come back from the trip and then they're like, oh, I got to like do everything back to normal, and I have to get back into the grind, and I have to start losing weight or whatever, like it's just one of those things. And this guy is like, I'm planning my next trip already, to where it's in the horizon and the goal has been created. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So shout out to that doctor. I never try to take credit on things that wasn't my original thought, but I liked that one. But I do, the whole planning trips aspect is, I don't know why I keep doing quotations on this show. It's kind of bothering me now. But the whole, plan trips aspect is very important. Planning trips, look, there are a million things that are going to come in the way. Okay. And it's a little unfair for me to speak to it on an entrepreneurial standpoint, because now I have no boss and I'm like, oh yeah, it's much easier to plan trips. Of course it is, because I'm not doing 40 hours a week for someone else. So, but when you get a chance, like even micro weekend trips, okay, 1 hour away from your town, 2 hours away from your town, there's so many amazing things in the USA. And if I'm speaking to some other people in other countries, that's fine. But like, there's so many amazing things here in the USA. And I think it's crazy when people haven't ventured outside of their town, their state, the country. I mean, there's just like, what? So there's amazing things on a budget standpoint that's very close, right? There's so many Groupon goods that you can get that'll allow you to do a day trip or even a weekend trip. And when I said plan trips, remember, a trip is anything that removes you from your daily grind and you get to like just chill, and just be like, all right, I'm doing this. Finally, like I'm doing this. And you get all excited and you wake up early and you plan things out. That's what you got to be doing every now and then. So frequent trips are cool. Weekend trips, I love weekend trips. I love them. Like, I think they're so much fun. Now that I'm a green room admin, I get to like do weekend trips wherever, and not wherever, but like wherever I go, there's always some people that are going to meet up. So I love that. I think that's so fascinating with what I have built. But regardless, a trip, just remember, plan a trip or two, get your family, get them all together. It might be one of those things where you're like, well, what are we going to do? It's going to be, money and all this kind of stuff. Work harder. Okay. Plan a trip 2 months ahead of time, 3 months ahead of time, and bust your ass. Figure out every angle of hustling that you got and just go with it. Okay. Do everything possible to have more money before the trip than you need, so you can do some extra amazing things too. All right. So hopefully I'm getting through to people out there. Okay, so that's prime your mind, planning trips. I think one of the best ways, if you're like, well, how the hell do I plan a trip? Let me kind of go through my outline here. Prime your mind, like go Google Images, right? Like you see it all the time in Facebook feeds, like, oh my God, look at that waterfall. What? That's in Arizona? Psh, that's like a day drive for me or 2-day drive. And you start realizing like all this amazing like nature and beauty and things that you can do, eat, places to visit. It's not that far from you, right? It could be a couple of day drive for you and your family, 60 to $80 stay overnight in a hotel, just to where you're not driving overnight. I mean, trips are not that expensive. You just have to plan ahead. And I think people they don't plan ahead enough. And that's the reason why trips seem like a burden, right? More than an absolute requirement to live a fantastic lifestyle. Okay. So don't ever think it's a burden and all this stuff. Like have a goal and be like, you know what, make it challenging and show up to that trip with a little bit more money than you need and have some fun. Okay. Spend that money for real. Deborah has an important thing here that she's saying. This could be one of your coming topics, but how to prevent burning out. I love this. Boy, this is going to be interesting. I think I'm going to have to create a show on this because there was a part of this year where I believe I truly had depression. Like I truly had some, and it was because I was burned out. It was because too many things came together in my life, and that was it. Like I basically broke down. So I think that's a great suggestion for a show. And I've been wanting to do that show because I don't want people to view my channel or my antics or my success as flawless. I think that's important to realize that everybody has things that go wrong in their life. Every single person will have things that go wrong. And in my life this year, things went crazy wrong. And but I overcame it, and I did it a certain way. I did it my way, and I overcame it. And I am definitely a better person because of that incident, but also a better person because of how I overcame it. And we will discuss that. But it definitely has to deal with depression, and it is depression. So not anymore, but 100% I had it, 100%. And Pinching Peso says, LOL, no, that's our show topic. Hey, it's okay. We can all do shows. It doesn't matter. Do it your way. I'll do it my way. We'll come together. And Deborah, we need to get you on a show, by the way. I want to get you on a daytime show with me, by the way, because we seem to have like-minded schedules and stuff like that. So I think it'd be really good to have a show with Deborah. Holler back at me, Deborah, and all the people in the feed that know about Deborah's channel. Let me know if you guys want to see us on a show together. I would greatly do the show. Trust me. In fact, we're like literally a mile away from each other in Austin, Texas. Okay, so yeah, just remember that when you're planning trips, try to do it with friends, family. I see some people are just like, oh, I'm going to go on a trip. I'm going alone. I'm going to find myself, and that's okay. But I think it's a lot more important to go with people. Okay, loved ones, family, friends. I can't tell you if there's. I mean, I love going on trips with my friends and my family. But when the trip gets friends, family, and it's just big, like 10 people, 20 people, those trips they'll absolutely stay in your mind forever in your life, forever. They're a gift. They're a gift to have that type of those trips, and they don't come very often. The ones that have a ton of people together and you're, having the best time of your life, which is one of the reasons we created the Green Room Meetup every July as almost like an excursion now. It's just a place everyone works hard. They get there, they're smiling. No one's like, oh my God, I have to make money right now. I have to go hustling. Everyone hustles at their own pace, and they just enjoy Austin for what it is and getting around other resellers. So absolutely, I look at it as a trip, and everyone's like, oh, it's the best trip ever. Feels like summer camp. These are grown adults, by the way. Feels like summer camp, and it feels amazing. And, it's just, we love hosting that event. And the people that honestly don't have the best time out of the whole event are the admins, because we have to just constantly plan and so we have 4 hours of sleep each, 3 hours of sleep. I mean, honestly, like behind the scenes, like some of us were getting in arguments in the van, but no one else got to see those things because we basically created this really, really fun vacation trip, and we worked so hard to get it perfect, and we realized at the end that it's never going to be perfect. It never will be. And so next year we're going to do things a little bit differently, but it's never failed that every year that we've had the meetup and that we've planned these trips, usually for the other people, and we did the itinerary and everything, that it's like, that's our time to really work hard, and it's other people's time to relax. And so it's kind of funny what happens behind the scenes. I wish I could show you guys everything. Okay, so let's talk about the next one real quick. So let me see who wants. If we're going to get on a Deborah show, yes, I think we're going to. Yeah, okay. So Deborah's saying like it's just we have a coming topic of preventing burnout. Hey, that's fine. Everyone does any kind of topic they want on YouTube is basically an efficient market. There's no one that's like better than anybody on YouTube, and I know when I do my video, it won't be it'll be a show, but I have a feeling it'll just be me talking about how I overcame my whole thing. Okay. One witch lady says, "Oh my goodness, I took my first alone trip in my life this past March or April. Interesting. It was amazing. No kids or husband." Hey, some of those can be very eye-opening too. I've done a couple in my life, and one landed me in Spain, and I definitely got ripped off. I know that. I learned a lot of things. Yeah, I got ripped off literally the moment I hit Spain. Like I got ripped off right there at the taxi service. So anyway, you live and you learn, right? I guess that guy really wanted the gold out of my sack that day. Number 5, immerse yourself in the life that you want. Think and dream a lot. I think this is really important, and this is something that I do all the time, is I think and dream about the things that I want in my life. Sometimes they're material things, right? A lot of times they're just more experiences, like what's going on around town, and like that's why you see the ACL festival and everything like that. I always look for really cool things to do in my town that maybe won't cost very much. But I always research and think and dream a whole lot. I research all the fantastic places in the USA that I haven't been to that I want to go to, and I research random stuff, prices of RVs, because one day I want to live in an RV just for a little bit and check it out. So think and dream, get around like-minded people. That could be your mentors, whatever. But it's also, when I say that, I mean get around other people that are on the same track as you. Like, do whatever it takes. And we're going to get to some of those things here in a little bit, like how you can get around like-minded people and not really cost much at all. So definitely immerse yourself in the life that you want. I think a lot of people, I don't know. It's like there are a lot of people. How do I say this? There's certain things in life that if you're just to try to attack it on your own, it's very hard to accomplish. One is like fitness. Fitness is very tough to accomplish if you've never done it before, or you want to get better. Like, to do it all alone in a room with some videos, it gets kind of difficult. I ain't gonna lie. So joining a gym, getting into group classes, those people won't get fit quick, right? The other thing is, like, when it comes down to like making money and all that kind of stuff, we can look at reselling, for example. If you just stay in your little room, don't watch any videos, and you just try to get better at eBay and try to get better at FBA, you will not be as good as someone that surrounds themselves with like-minded people that are hashing out what can go wrong, how my listing failed, this buyer ripped me off, what do I do? Your learning curve is much better as being the second person, okay? So you want to surround yourself in the life that you want. If the life that you want is more promising resale, then you have to get around people that are on the track of being more promising resellers, not people that are more promising complainers that are resellers. Does that make sense? Because the money comes from the stream, opening up the stream of money coming into your PayPal. But if some people, I see sometimes people complaining, not sometimes, but many times complaining about all this other stuff on the other side of the screen, on the stream, where it takes money out of your gold pouch, right? And I'm like, why are you focusing on that stuff? Like, don't focus on that. Focus on the big stuff, right? Very important. And you can call it being judgmental or whatever, but try to read your people out. Try to read the people that are, in the life that you want. I mean, you have to make a conscious decision to get around like-minded people. But while you're around like-minded people, dissect it and go, you know what, is it, can I get better than this? Can I get around better people? Because you're always the average of the 5 people you hang around with. Get around the best 5 that you can do at any given time, okay? If it means you have to be judgmental and you have to ditch people and ditch family members, whatever, you're going to have to do it, okay? You're going to have to do it. Okay, so that's that one. How you guys doing, by the way? I want to go into the feed real quick. One which lady says, yes, that makes total sense. Cape Cod Reseller says, my wife went to Summit in Nashville by herself. She said it was the best trip ever. So these trips by yourself, can be really good. You can learn a lot, that's for sure. And people are talking to each other. Pinching Pay says, I need to learn how to take trips. I have never taken an overnight vacation in my whole adult. Whoa, I'm not going to read the rest of that one. That's crazy. Yeah, you got to take trips. So work super, super, super hard. Challenge yourself and get out of town. Very important. So you're going to like some of these other things, Deborah, that I'm talking about here. Number 6 is do amazing free stuff. In order to craft an amazing lifestyle. Now, in order to craft an amazing lifestyle, you don't always have to take trips, okay? You don't always have to do that kind of stuff. That usually is one of the pinnacle parts of creating an amazing lifestyle. Is like, oh my God, I'm going on a trip, super awesome. But no one's life is just a trip the whole entire time. No one's, unless you're a travel channel like dude, no one's life is a trip. And I've met the travel channel, some of the travel channel people. I've friends with some of them, and it's like sometimes it's a drag. Like I got to go to Antarctica today. Oh my God, I'm gonna be away from the family and kids again. Like, so you have to understand that there are people there living this dream lifestyle that you might think is a dream, and they're just absolutely like, I would give anything to come back home and just be with family and kids. So, there's definitely that happy medium in the middle. And I think that's where people actively plan trips and they go and do them and they have fun, but then they come back to real world where it comes down to like working hard and like trying to achieve your dreams. I think that's important. So, number 6 is do amazing free stuff. And people are like, wow, that's great. Free. I love free. Who doesn't like free? Free is good. So scout your town for really amazing free gatherings, such as concerts or events, food tasting things where you just walk around tasting food all day. You can find these in the local paper. You can find them, when I say local paper, it seems like I'm very like antiquated, but every town, at least that I've been at, has some sort of a reader. Like San Diego, if you go to San Diego, they have this thing called the San Diego Reader. You can get it at so many places. It's just a pamphlet with like everything possible that's going on in the town. It's like a newspaper, not even a pamphlet. And if you come to Austin, there's something called the Austin Chronicle, which will show you every freaking thing that's going on in town as well. So try to find that paper in your town. If you live in super small town America, I don't know what to tell you, but like if you live in any sort of city with any sort of population, there's usually a paper that circulates that'll tell you about the fair. That'll tell you about all this really cool stuff that comes through town. It's a little unfair that I live in Austin, Texas, because like every time there's always something really amazing going down in Austin, Texas for really no money that you can capitalize on all the time. So it's a bit unfair to me to say that, I crafted a lot. Here's the thing. Like I've had the choice. And even my wife at this point is saying like, why don't we do some traveling stuff where I can work traveling and you can do your hustling thing on the travel. I'm like, oh, that's cool, but where are we going to go? And she's like, well, some of these assignments are in like in Nebraska, Kansas. We might land Colorado. We might be. I'm like, this might thing kind of scares me because I don't know if I want to be stuck somewhere for 3 months in a very might situation where I have to figure my way around in a town with like 10,000 people. Like, I don't know if I want that, but you got to be able to understand what's at your, you got to be able to get into the right kind of towns. I really feel bad for people that are like in the very small towns that don't realize that sometimes amazing lifestyle occurs with a town that's like an hour away, for example. So try to really look at it openly. If that means moving, okay, move, like get out, like go. So, what's really keeping you in your town? Most people, if it's really keeping them there, are going to be like family. And that was the hardest thing for my wife. Like when she left North Carolina after we met on MySpace back in the day, it was hard for her to leave her entire family and carve out this world down here in Austin. But now she loves Austin. Like she loves it, completely loves it. And when they visit, they're like, holy crap, this town is crazy awesome. But then she gets homesick every now and then, and that's okay too. So we go back to her home, see everything down there. But one town is distinctly better than the other. Like Charlotte is not, I don't think, as good as Austin. It's just the way it is. When it comes to lifestyle, thrifting, for what I do, what she does, it's just she's getting paid more here. This is a better town. So she made the right choice in moving. But if Charlotte was a better town, I probably would have moved there. So, move if you have to. Okay, number 7 is join free groups like meetup.com. Get around some really good friendships. Meetup.com is really cool. I think a lot of towns have this, and it's active. I mean, in Austin, there are, I can check out right now. Hold on. I'm going to take a look at how many active free groups. This is crazy, man. Meetup.com is really awesome. There was a time in my life where I was like totally hooked up on it, totally like always on it, going and meeting with people. I think, crap. It's going to ask me for all kinds of stuff first. Okay, never mind. Anyway, the last time I was on it, I think there were like no, it wasn't 500. I want to say it was like 300 active groups going on at any given time doing whatever it was. It could be wine tastings, people coming around a circle and like just reading scripture, park walks, hiking. I joined the mountain biking one, and I met some really good people through that and had a lot of fun. I went to Austin Business Entrepreneurs or whatever. I was going to those kind of events, and those were fun too. You get around like-minded people, and they have guest speakers that speak. Like some of the big dogs in town that own really good properties and bars and stuff will speak for free at those places, and you get to really understand like business mentality at its best on a local level. So I love doing that kind of stuff. And they'll just tell you about all this random stuff going on. There's like Austin Sports and Social Club, which is like they play kickball and all these like cool little tournaments with like softball and stuff. But yeah, you can find a lot of things through meetup.com. So check that out. Meetup.com. A lot of these people, they get together for something, they execute whatever that something is, and then they go somewhere else and they go eat or drink beer somewhere else. And that's where a lot of that bonding really occurs, is like at that next thing that everyone decides to go to. So, if you want to get around like-minded people, you want to change yourself, just remember, it doesn't matter what it is, man. There's a lot of free stuff going on in the town, usually that you're in. And it's just a couple clicks away. We live in a digital revolution. You can look at this crap on your phone and be linked up with a group like literally tomorrow, introducing yourself and be like, hey, I'm brand new. I want to learn yoga, and here I am. So, learn that kind of stuff. You'd be so surprised how much more pleasure you will get out of your life when you start acting on the things that absolutely interest you in life. I think a lot of people don't realize that so many things are available for free, and so many things can be achieved by the human body. And doesn't matter what age group you're in. There's so many things that your body can still do, but people are just spending all this time like just working too hard, doing crazy things that just doesn't matter. When the real things that matter are like right in front of you. Anyway, all right, so that's that. Donna Jones says, don't kick Charlotte to the curb. Charlotte has a lot. Look, I went to Charlotte. I've been to Charlotte many times. I like Charlotte. I do. Okay. I like it in a vacation sense because I get down there, I go antiquing, and they have better antiques than we ever see here in Austin. When it comes to thrifting and pawn shops, a little different, right? The hustle can be done in Charlotte. I ain't going to lie. More traffic than Austin. Okay. When it comes to their outdoor scene, like here in Austin, we have hill country. We have different kind of sediment. So when I ride a mountain bike, like I can go to 3 different types of terrain over here. When I go over there in Charlotte, it's like one type of terrain only, right? With not terribly crazy hills. Here in Austin, it's like I could literally die on the trails out here. So it just feels better to me. We have lakes here. I think Charlotte might have a lake close to it. It has a whitewater center, which is pretty neat. I went there. I'm not knocking Charlotte. I'm just saying on the standpoint of being physically fit, my wife making good money, thrifting and hustling, Austin is a better town. And I'm not knocking Charlotte. I'm just saying Austin is better. I've been to both. It would be really bad of me to say that Charlotte was not as good as Austin, and only been to Charlotte like one time. Okay, but I've been to Charlotte many times, and it's just it's fun. It is fun. It's just different. I do like Austin better though. Number 8, and I'll get into the feed after this because we got to end the show soon, is you guys hear me say this all the time, okay? In order to craft a good lifestyle, your body is going to have to usually be able to travel between point A and point B in an efficient manner where you're not tired. And this is where number 8 comes into effect pretty heavily, which is consider getting active. Okay, physical fitness is very important. Sedentary lifestyle, sitting in chairs all day, being around, non-natural light, all that kind of stuff. You better be making a ton of progress when it comes to money or your financial dreams or building your company if you're going to sit in that type of environment for a very long time. There better be an intense amount of reward at the end. But problem is, I think a lot of people find themselves in that lifestyle working for someone else, or they find themselves in that lifestyle just doing okay. They're not really crushing their dreams. They're just like kind of getting by. So that's kind of like the huge disservice. Like, be careful about that. So getting physically fit, do a couple things for you. And it's just physically fit for your own body. I don't want people to think like that means I have to do burpees and push-ups and I have to be just like Chris. And that's not what I mean. What I mean is you have to be physically, you have to be challenged by your own inner physical limits. Does that make sense? So like you have a physical limit and a lot of people haven't reached theirs. They're just, it's there, but they haven't reached it. So you have to get to your physical limit, and everyone's got a different one. And to start reaching that, I think is very important. I think lifestyle opens up greatly when you even get halfway there. You can think much better, right? Anybody that argues that it's not healthy to get physically fit, no, it is healthy to get physically fit for sure. And the last thing I think is very, very important. You get a lot of confidence out of being physically fit, okay? Not cocky confidence or anything like that. Why do I keep doing these quotation marks? Anyway, not cockiness, arrogance, or anything like that, but true confidence that comes from within, like self-worth, where you realize that, you feel better. You feel better because you're doing more things. You're thinking better. It makes you feel better. Like everything makes you feel better when you get more active. So if anyone ever wants tips on being active, please request behind the scenes, and I might do an active kind of show on my channel, because clearly without being arrogant, I do know what I'm doing, and I would love to share that stuff with you guys. I would love to. I think it'd be so much fun. And I've already done a lot of free sharing with my other channel at the Bod Damn YouTube channel. So go check that out if you want to. It is a little bit more male oriented, but if we, have some requests from females on how to get more healthy and all that kind of stuff, there are a couple of things I can give you. I can, promise you guys a show. I can get you guys a show and we can get everyone kind of going. Or join the green room, because there is a subgroup called Green Room Life that has evolved, where people are now getting more fit, doing better things with their lives, and Green Room Life is pretty amazing. It's everything outside of the hustle, and I think that's really important. A lot of physical activity stuff is in there. So anyway, that's pretty much my show, guys. I'm gonna go into the comment feed real quick and see what everyone's talking about. Got 48 people with 50 upvotes, 2 downvotes. Guys, I really enjoy that you guys are coming down here and hitting the like button. It means that either the content is really good, or you just dig my channel that much and you guys just want to help me out. I'm hoping that the actual content is good, because this outline right here took me a while to build. Doesn't it look like hieroglyphics? Anyway, yeah, like no one that doesn't know what they're talking about wouldn't go this in depth, right? This is just basically like the pinnacle of what I wanted to talk about. And I'm already writing this crap down. Within like 30 minutes, I had all this written down. I was like, I can't wait to talk about it, because it's like so exciting to me. I love doing this kind of stuff. I love inspiring people. I love, I love getting the comments or compliments afterwards, whatever you call them, after the fact, when people are like, I just love that video. Like I met up with someone the other day at Taco Deli and at Houndstooth Coffee, a guy that came in from Shreveport. He was a Green Room member, and he was just like picking my brain on business stuff and all this stuff. And he was just like, I just got to thank you. And there were a lot of these things that he was saying, like there was another remark in your video, Chris, where you said this, and I knew that video that he was talking about, and it wasn't one of my reselling videos. It was one of these other kind of like lifestyle type videos. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, clearly there's a need for it. But he was like, you said something very profound in this video. I want you to expand on it. And so I did. And I think people want to internally get better, not just with reselling. They want to make the best out of their lives out there. And so they're looking at people like, Steve Rake and myself and some other people out there as mini mentors, maybe like, well, how do I get there? And so I definitely want to teach as much as I can, to where you guys one day will just come back and be like, you know what, I did your advice, or I barely did your advice, and I'm already like feeling so much better. My hustling's got better. Things have just changed in my life. I'm more appreciative. I did get that compliment from a Green Room member not too long ago. After I was visiting Naples this year, I met up with one of my Green Room members that's like a big dog in the room, and gave him some advice. I was like, man, you're working hard. And I was like, this is kind of like how I do it in my life. I could do this, and we can equate it to your life like that, but there's a big hole. Like the physical fitness is very important, man, like all this kind of stuff. And he wrote back several months later. He's like, after meeting with Chris, I did some of the things that he was discussing, made small goals, made them into larger goals. And before I knew it, I was working less on my business, making more money, loving more time with my family, appreciating life for what it was. And I was like, dang, that's crazy good, So that's the reason why I do it, honestly. It's just for that. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Anyway, so That's pretty much it. Any more remarks, and I will yeah, I'll get back to you guys. Joel Dodson says, great show, brother. I've stuck with my walking routine. I'm up to 2.5 miles a day now. Awesome, man. That's great. So let me ask you this, Joel Dodson, do you do it by miles, or are you messing with steps? Do you have a Fitbit? Are you having a tracker that's on your phone? Like, how are you determining whether a day is productive or not? I'm curious on that. You always got to have some sort of baseline, right? It's very important that when you're training for something, whether it be a marathon or some event, you get a baseline level, okay, of something that you can achieve all the time, right? And then you throw a nasty spike in there every now and then, okay? They call it interval training if you're doing it on a short-term basis, but we're talking about like if you are a person that wants to build up to a marathon, let's say a half marathon, right, which is 13.1, then your base would probably want to be somewhere in that, like, I don't know, 7 to 10 miles, right? 7 to 10, 7 to 10. But your first base would be about 5 for, let's say you're 6 months out from a half marathon. You'd want to have a 5 mile base, or a 3 to 5 mile base, at least for the first 2 weeks. And then when you start getting closer to the event, your base needs to go higher, right? And the base gets higher because of previous spikes that you created on your previous base. So if you have 3 to 5 miles as your average base, or let's say it's 4, okay? Then one day you just go for a 6, right? And then you increase the spikes of the 6 to where 6 almost feels like almost normal. So then your base moves to a 5. And then you eventually get to a 13 because the day of the marathon is one of your spikes on a base that could be anywhere between 8 and 10 miles. So that way it's not a huge shock to your body. If you had a base that was like 3 or 5 miles, and all of a sudden I tell you, go run a 13.1, you're like, holy crap, I can't do that. So you have to look at, when I asked Joel Dodson that question, is you have to look at it from that standpoint. What is your base? What is your absolute baseline that you're like, okay, I have to get to this level every day. And then I want you to throw a ridiculous spike in there. You have to throw something that's like, in excess of like sometimes 40 or 50% of original goal, something like that, just for one day. Come back to normal, do it again. And then before you know it, you'll have another new base going on in your life. So it's really cool. Anyway, Joel Dodson just says, I took your advice and I just walk further every day. I need to buy a pedometer. There you go. I talked to him behind the scenes the other day. So without getting very technical, like that's essentially what you kind of have to do with fitness is, because it's quick. Fitness is one of those things that gets kind of quick. Like the results come quick if you stay with it. Okay. So, if you're sitting there and you're benching 135 and you're a male and you're like, holy crap, that's hard as hell. And then all of a sudden 3 months later, you're like, dude, 135 is like a warm up. Like it'd be stupid to stay at 135 all the time when clearly your body is ready for, 185 or 200 pounds, but you always want to increase the base. So anyway, there's a question from Truth Seeker for Yeshua. I don't know what the question was, but there's just a, did he answer my question? I'm gonna try to see if I can get back to it here. So this is the part of the show where basically I'm going to answer a couple more questions and then I got to get out of here, and I'm actually going to go ride my mountain bike with my wife. So it's going to be awesome. Soe Kun Pan says, buy an old Pebble watch. Those are really good smartwatches. I have a Basis Peak one right here, which is, I think, the most imperfect watch on the market, if that makes any sense. It's played with terrible reviews. And in fact, some of them even overheat and burn your skin. This one hasn't done it yet. But I love everything that this watch has done for me. And to me, it has the best sleep tracking data crap on the market, to where I'm like, holy crap, you're so in tune with your sleep on this watch. It mails you your sleep patterns at the end of the week. It gives you a sleep score. You can check your sleep patterns by like 10 o'clock the next day of how your night was, how many times you got up, did you get deep sleep, REM sleep, light sleep, toss and turn. I mean, it's really cool. It has a stopwatch, basic stuff, alarm to where it vibrates, which is neat, because having an actual vibrating type thing to your body when you need to wake up is way more amazing than just an audible alarm clock. Like this one just makes the little cell phone like zzz, zzz, and I feel it like immediately on my wrist. So yeah, I think it's the most perfect watch out there. They can be had for about 80 to like $100, something like that. I got this one for 20 because I'm a hustler. Anyway. And it does link up with my phone. I could get text messages on it, but I choose not to because I'm using it for other reasons. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I want to stick around for one more comment. One more question. And here's pinching pesos. When I did my half, my base was about 6, and then I did 8 on a long, and then the 13.1 was bam out of nowhere. There you go. So it's basically what I was talking about. Yeah. See? So there it is. See, so you got to about 10 and had to walk the last 3. The fact that you did it is all that matters, pinching pesos. Like, that's what makes me so proud about you, is the fact that you executed the whole way through. Who cares if you had to walk the rest or whatever, is the fact that you just did it is the most important thing. So you got to figure out, I got to ask you, how did you feel after doing that? Did you feel like you achieved anything? Even if you didn't run the last 3 or whatever, did you feel like you did amazing things with your body at that point? That's the real question. And then if the answer is yes, then you got to figure out other ways to do amazing things. And it doesn't have to be a half marathon or whatever, but figure out ways to do it. There's so many good things in this town that we got that I think you could really find out a lot about yourself just by doing that. Plus, you get to think so much amazing stuff when you're in the zone and you're doing cardio or walking or hiking, whatever. Man, you can think about so many things in your life at that one given moment. Like, it's just awesome. I mean, if you think ideas are hard to come by in your life and you're so busy, try getting no phone involved and just going for a walk or a hike or a bike ride or something, and you will start talking to yourself. You will start thinking about the craziest things. No DMT needed, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. Good to use good says, I only sleep 4 to 5 hours tops at night, but it doesn't affect me. It's been that way since before I can remember. I'm almost 30. 4 to 5 is definitely not optimal when it comes to regenerative aspects. 6 to 8 is definitely where you need to be. And even though you can operate perfectly fine, the thing is, when you start building this lifestyle that you want, and if the lifestyle is even remotely super active or anything like that, 4 to 5 never will cut it. I've been in the 4 to 5 aspect when I was doing MBA school and everything, and I literally almost broke down. Like, it was crazy, but it took me a while. Like you, my breakdown started occurring like a year and a half into the program, and I was like, holy crap, like, I better finish this thing off because it's nuts. I lost a girlfriend at that time because I was working so hard. So there's always something negative to come out of all this. If you feel like you're indestructible with 4 to 5 hours of sleep, there's always something negative that's going to come out of it. It's just, can you catch it in time and change it? I wasn't able to catch it in time. And so the negative aspect was losing a love, right? And that was really hard, but did it. It led to the next person I had, which is my wife, but that's definitely not the way to look at it. The way to look at it is, I was probably highly unfair to that previous person when they were giving everything in their life to me. So not a good thing to do. MX Flanny says, thanks again for the green room discount. I'm loving it already. Cool. Yeah, he joined yesterday, or he or she. I think it's probably he. Joined yesterday after watching a show on my channel, and there was a green room discount. Yesterday's show might have some slots left. I don't know if the discount's still active or not. I only put 10 slots available, so he was definitely the first one that came through. I remember seeing that. So cool. I'm glad you like it. That means a lot. Comfort Zone Studio says, no alcohol, no cigs, no drugs. Yeah, that can definitely lead to some interesting. Look, I definitely consume alcohol. When it comes to drugs, I don't mess with them like hardly ever. If I do, I would be straight up. It would be things like marijuana, or it would be edibles, like in Colorado, for example. Like the whole entire town's on edibles. Everybody eats marijuana down there, like everybody, and there's a ton of medicinal advantages to marijuana. So I don't want anyone to be like, oh, you're an idiot. Like, why are you condoning? Like, look, I hardly ever do it, but I don't ever feel guilty when I do it. And I never look down on people that do it regularly. I just don't, because this is Austin, Texas too. Like, everybody's like on marijuana here too, everybody. So anyway, but it's definitely not something I'm hooked on or whatever. And same with alcohol. I have alcohol every now and then. It's just one of those things. If you can control your alcoholic, tendencies and drug tendencies, who's anyone to tell you that, that's wrong, right? So Truth Streaker says, this is the last question I'll probably answer. My question is, I have a lot of medical issues and can hardly any money, but really want to start reselling to help my family and advice. Yeah, so like, here's the thing with reselling, is it doesn't cost a whole lot of money to get started. Anybody that's a reseller that's probably watching this right now can completely agree with the fact that, look, you can literally you can change your life around for basically nothing. Like, if you find really cool free stuff and resell it, that can be your first cash infusion into the game. But quite honestly, you can make anything start with $1. And I say that because many people have done that. So as long as you have the willpower and you have a brain, you'll be able to make reselling work for you. But you have to immerse yourself in reselling. It goes back to, so it comes back to number 5, immerse yourself in the life that you want. If you want a reselling life, you want to be a successful reseller, research a lot of stuff about reselling. All right. Prime your mind, like always watch people's YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff. And when you finally get the chance to get some money or whatever, go to seminars, do things that like will propel you into being a better reseller, right? Join groups if you need to, but start invest in yourself. And reselling is not hard, but it's easy for people to do marginally well. If that makes any sense. It's very easy to do marginally well in resale and just keep going and be like, this is sweet, loophole, But when people really challenge themselves and they start making things happen and they're able to leave corporate lifestyle because of reselling, those are a little bit more of anomalies, right? Outliers. And it can happen, but those people definitely think much more differently than normal people. They're always thinking about the hustle, about the game, right? They're not thinking about this other dumb stuff on the other end of the bell curve, which is like returns and like customer issues and, oh my gosh, I'm restricted in FBA and my whole life's over. Like, no, they're finding ways and overcoming everything. So I think the most important thing I can give you, truth for you, Yeshua, is understand that life is going to come at you in so many different ways. Hurt, loss of loved ones, physical disability, all kinds of things are going to happen, ailments, like whatever, health issues. That's just life coming at you. It comes to everyone in a different way, okay? The people that make life work for them, the people with, good minds, good heads on their bodies, that live great lives, are people that choose to overcome every hurdle that comes to them and everything that comes out, everything that comes their way in life, that's essentially like they look at it as a game. And then other people that look at that and they don't look at it as a game. They look at that and they're like, oh my God, too many hurdles. Like I'm screwed. Like that's it. Bad day, bad day, bad week, bad month, had a bad month, and you can control all that. You can control how you perceive whether life comes at you in person A number standpoint or person B. And the person B is someone that's going to assimilate everything and go like, yo, that's just anything that has to do with that, does with that, that's negative. Anything that does with that, oh my God, I can't deal with it. Oh my God, like now my whole day is ruined. You have to be very careful. The person number A goes, life's coming at me. I can't sit there. That goes, because of this happened, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. Just because that happens doesn't mean this happens. So you have to understand that person A has a much different thinking philosophy than person B. And person A wins in the end. So that's it. I think that's the best way I can answer your question, is that there's no monetary advice I can give you on hustling, on how to start, because anybody can start with free or $1. But the person that starts with free or $1 and makes 10,000, 100,000 becomes like the next anomaly. It's because they constantly think differently. And when life is approaching them, they're always like looking for a way around and like, how do I overcome all those kind of things? And that typically comes from sometimes good parenting, or they're around a really good support system of people where everyone's overcoming, everyone's going over these hurdles together, and they realize like, that's what I need to do, because you're naturally sucked in to those 5 people or your group or whatever. You're naturally just going to become it. It's just what life is about. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Good use goods. I'm going to cap it off with this one comment real quick, okay? Which says, I like to laugh at the stress and negatives and learn from the mistakes and regret nothing. I like that one. That's good. Good use goods today. You are my best friend on the show. Hey guys, it whittled down to 42 people. If you haven't liked the video, please do. It's definitely one of my longer shows that I've done on my channel, but clearly when you're doing something that you love, it's easy to get off track. It's easy to just want to help and help and help and help and help and help. And I could just probably talk about this for 4 more hours, but I have to go ride with my wife. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So anyway, it is good to see. It is good to see everyone out there, even if it's midday, whatever. I wish I could have done this at night. It would have been a lot of fun. But just remember that you can do it. Definitely, I know it's such an overused term, but absolutely you can do it. Ain't nobody gonna do it for you, okay? You can do it, and you have to do it, right? If you want an amazing lifestyle, you wanna build one, you're going to have to absolutely get out your wrench and your tools and start crafting and building this lifestyle. You don't just get to sit back and outsource this lifestyle building to anybody else. You can't do that this time, okay? You have to go out there and you're going to have to get active with your tools and your wrenches, and you're going to have to craft this lifestyle out for yourself. So if you did like this show and you would like 8 more tips for the next one, there's only one thing I want you to do. Well, actually 2 things. 1, you got to hit the like button. 2, leave me a comment down below. I would greatly appreciate it. But I'm going to go on. I'm going to get out of here and go ride Walnut Creek with my wife. It's going to be a lot of fun. Then I have a green room show tonight. But I do appreciate anyone and everybody taking their time, an hour or an hour and 30 minutes to spend it with me here on this hangout. I think we covered a lot of ground here, guys. So hopefully it helped you guys out. And I'll talk to you later. Okay. Bye-bye.